right, who's going first?
Patrick, good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in. What can you tell us about your injury, about your summer, and about any sort of timeline going forward here?
Yeah, definitely been a little bit frustrating at times. I think, when I first injured myself in the playoffs there's such a rare case, such a unique injury that we didn't really have a lot of, readily available research or case studies or really any information to have a concrete timeline. And, we were told that this might be a situation that we might find ourselves in, the one that we're in right now. And, I've been able to rehab a ton this summer, and sure, it's taken a little bit longer than obviously I would have liked, but especially the last couple weeks on the ice, I've been feeling a lot better, and there's definitely some light at the end of the tunnel for me now, and full confidence that I'll be back out there.
Can you talk about the situation you're in right now? How would you describe that situation and where you are?
Yeah, when I first felt the injury, obviously wasn't too sure what it was, and as we kind of dived into some research and things, it was a little ambiguous, and it's been, like I said, a little bit of a frustrating summer, just trying to get some answers. And obviously we've talked to all the specialists that we can around the world and North America and even overseas, and this is the information that we've kind of gathered, and myself and the staff and the organization are fully confident that we're on the right track.
Patrick Alvin reiterated that had the team beaten Edmonton, they fully expected that you would be available the next round, that you'd be cleared. So I know recoveries are rarely just linear, but did things get worse after that point? Like, did they get worse and then get better, or start to get better?
Yeah, I would say it hasn't been quite linear, obviously. I think looking back as a competitor, I think you kind of lie to yourself in the playoff situation, and I thought maybe I was a little bit farther ahead than I was, in hindsight. I do think that I would have been in a situation where I probably would have been able to kind of grit through it and maybe get out there and play in the conference final there. I'll say that I did hit a bit of a wall in the summer as far as the recovery went, and we did see a little bit of a lack of progress there for a couple months, and obviously that's why I'm in the situation that I'm in right now. But I would say, like I said, the last probably 2 or 3 weeks we've seen a ton of progress, and we're very confident in where I am right now, and happy with that.
Might it be a situation that you just manage while you play, or is it something you can be 100% before you play? I know you want to.
Yeah, no, I think I'll be able to get to 100%. Again, there's a lack of research. There's I don't know too much about what this looks like full picture at the end of the whole process, but I have full confidence that I'll be able to get back to 100%. And even if I'm sure it'll be a situation just like anything. When you have an injury, it's something that you have to keep an eye on, and maybe tweak some of your training habits and some of your rehab habits, and just stay on top of your maintenance and things like that. But I don't have any doubt that I'll be 100%.
It's been suggested that you may have had to undergo another procedure, be it minor or scope or anything like that. Can you confirm whether that did in fact happen?
Yeah, during the evaluation of the injury that I had in the playoffs, we noticed some minor thing. Had nothing to do with the injury that I had during the playoffs. It was more of a situation where it was something that may flare up, during the season, whether it be in November or January. And talking to specialists, the recommendation was just to get something done. Just to make sure that it wasn't a situation where I had to, go and get it done in December or January, like I mentioned. So I did get an operation. It had nothing to do with, the injury that I had in the playoffs. It was very minor. It took me about 2 weeks to recover from that, and I continued with the rehab that I'm currently dealing with.
What are your expectations? I'm sure your hopes are pretty high as far as the timeline, but what are your realistic expectations as to when you might be able to go fully with the group?
Yeah, I can't really give you an answer, to be honest. Had you asked me a month ago, I really wouldn't have been able to tell you. I would say that we're on a great trajectory right now. This is the most confident that I've been in the rehab process up to date. And, as I continue to progress and work with Marco on the ice and with our medical staff, hopefully just keep progressing week to week. And, I'm not going to sit here and give you a timeline. It would just kind of create some problems for me potentially. But, yeah, like I said, I feel really confident in where we're headed, and hopefully be 100% sooner rather than later.
Patrick, pretty unique to hear a general manager defer to a player to give an update. And Patrick didn't want to yesterday, but why was it important for you to sort of do this here and just kind of clear all of this up?
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I feel like, you guys have been kept in the dark all summer, and obviously I'm not at training camp, and I'm sure that you guys probably see that as a big deal. It is a big deal. I'd love to be out there. And I just felt that, to respect to you guys, I'd like to address you directly. And, I don't want there to be any mixed messaging or, talks telling you guys one thing and Patrick's telling you another. We're all on the same page. Everyone's up to date. I talk with them frequently, giving them updates, and they talk to the medical staff every day. So I just felt like it was important for me to address you guys directly.
Well, appreciate that. Big news in the offseason was Ian's sort of repositioning in the organization. You mentioned Marco. We know what Ian has meant to you. You went to bat for him a couple of times publicly. How does this change anything in terms of your working relationship with the new coaching staff, or does it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tricky situation this summer, a little bit delicate at times, and I wasn't really too sure what was going on. I had heard rumblings about maybe a change being made. So yeah, I mean, it's a relationship that Ian and I have cultivated over the years, and it's obviously an important one to me, and we obviously have a ton of respect for one another. And he's not completely out of the picture. We're still keeping in touch, and I'm sure he'll be involved in the rehab process, maybe from a distance, but involved nonetheless. And I didn't know Marco too well coming into this year, but right away when we were made aware about the change being made, Marco's made a great effort to get to know me, and likewise for me towards him. And we've had a great few weeks here getting to know each other, and now that I'm kind of back on the ice and a more aggressive capacity, he's been much more involved, and it's been fantastic so far, and I look forward to continue to work with him.
Patrick, just to clarify, it's a knee injury?
Well, yeah, it's a muscle injury. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You talked about how it is a unique injury, but have you talked to any other goaltenders, whether retired or currently playing?
There's not one case that we can find, goaltender or hockey player in general. It's been wild. It's been part of the frustration, is just not having a ton of information, and you're kind of just going into it blindfolded, and it can be scary at times, and I think we've done a good job handling that as a group with the medical staff and the organization, and doing the best we can in that front. But yeah, we haven't found a single hockey player. We've found maybe less than 5 soccer guys. Just random things like that. It's not too concrete.
Do you kind of become the case study in that?
I guess so. Yeah. I guess I'm leading the charge for the next guy that has something like this happen. I can help him out.
Obviously, you've got a life away from hockey as well. Can you talk about how it's impacted the rest of your life?
I mean, I'm sure my wife's sick of hearing about it. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's part of the frustration. There were times in the summer where I have a 1-year-old, and trying to get on the ground and play with him or something might not be as easy as it should be, and that can be frustrating. But I can't say enough about my wife for putting up with me and being a huge support for me and the rest of my family as well.
Patrick, you commented earlier about maybe tweaking what you do training-wise and stuff like that. Can you maybe get a little more specific about what you think may need to change just to be more preventative for injuries that you've had?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just a little bit of maturity, quite frankly. I just kind of have one gear, and that's just to go as hard as I can and try to get better every day. And just learning that there's different ways to get better and maintain your system of play and make sure that you stay sharp, and at the same time taking care of your body. And I've done a lot of work working with consultants and things like that this summer to address that, and just kind of picking people's brains about different ways to go about it. So something that I'm well aware of, something that I'm confident that I can implement this year.
Two more, please. Two more. frustrating is, I mean, I know there's no comparison to missing playoff games versus missing the start of training camp, but you know, this team is aiming high this year, and we know the messaging from Rick and Patrick about expectations and standards. How frustrating is it not to be part of the group and be part of that from day one?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You know, like you said, I think missing playoff games last year was definitely the low point of my career. You know, mentally, spiritually, and you know, if you had asked me, you know, when I was going home for the summer, if I'd be ready for camp, I would have said, yeah, 100%. So that's been kind of the realization has kind of crept in the back half of the summer that I might not be ready for camp. And at the end of the day, that's what I have to deal with. You know, I can't sit around and think, poor me, that I'm not out there. Obviously, I want to be out there. I want to be competing with the guys. I want to be leading by example, and you know, want to help the young goalies coming in. I want to be there for Artie and you know, helping him out. But this is the hand that I'm dealing with right now, and you know, giving it 100%, putting my best foot forward.
When dealing with something where there isn't necessarily a clear timeline, or as you talked about, linear progression, how important is it for you to focus on sort of day by day rather than, you know, trying to look bigger picture or worrying about when you're going to be back?
Yeah, I think that's the challenging part. Just like I said, as a competitor, you're always pushing, and you know, when things aren't linear and there's a ton of ambiguity in the picture, it's tough to, you know, kind of take a step back and not get worried about things that you can't control. And you know, that's been a growing process for me. And you know, obviously I was dealing with that in the playoffs too. And so just kind of drawing from that experience as this has kind of progressed. And like you said, it's definitely a day-by-day thing. And you know, luckily I've been able to stack about 2 or 3 weeks of just consistently better days, and just having, you know, some gratitude for that has been important.
JT Miller's an asshole.
Generational talent.
Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.